What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the Crypto Catch Up. Of course, your number one place to catch up on crypto. Well, Sui, Kaspa, Shiba, all of them absolutely smashing it today. The altcoin market is absolutely on fire, and I want to talk about what's going on, why it's happening, and why I think this might just be the beginning, guys. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's catch up on crypto. And look, I do want to remind you, if you do want to trade some of your favorite cryptos on up to 500x leverage, which I don't recommend 500x leverage, by the way, but if you do want to trade it on up to 500x leverage without needing a KYC, without even needing to use a VPN, you can just sign up and start trading. You're going to get some crazy benefits from my BTCC affiliate link down below. Guys, 10% deposits on bonuses, meaning if you deposit $2,500, you're getting $250 back right then and there to be able to trade. On top of that, you're also going to get up to $10,000 in bonuses, and you're going to get an SVIP1, which gives you 40% lower trading fees. This is the best deal I've ever been able to accomplish here on the channel, and it's because the bull market's here, and it's because there's a lot of opportunity out there. So go take advantage of that. This will not last forever. Please go take advantage of that down in the description below. But anywho, let's talk about what in the world is going on. Why is this market pumping right now, and what can we expect from the altcoin market going forward? So what we can see here is that, the likes of Sui, Bonk, ADA, Shiba, Doge, CAS, BSV, BCH, EOS, they're going nuts. And what's interesting about it is that we've been actively seeing that liquidity cycle that I've always talked about happening here in the market. Now, what I mean by that is, of course, over the last few weeks, we of course saw Bitcoin and Solana and a little bit of Ethereum and a lot of your major cryptos starting to gain some traction, while your smaller alts weren't really doing too much. But what's interesting is now that Bitcoin and them have kind of slowed down a little bit. We're starting to see that cycle happen in which liquidity cycles from the top all the way down to the bottom. And this seems to be like the second step or third step of that liquidity cycle, in which it goes, Bitcoin, major altcoins, more mid-cap altcoins, smaller cap altcoins, risky meme coin altcoins, pre-sales, private sales, restart. And that's kind of the cycle that we go in. And I had some doubts, and I know so did many of you, of whether or not that cycle was going to happen the same this time around. The reason being is because a lot of the liquidity that we were seeing injected into Bitcoin, for example, was coming from institutional buyers and governments. These aren't people who are just going to sell their Bitcoin and then go buy Solana, right? That's just not how that operates. And so because of that, I wasn't sure if the liquidity cycle was going to be the same or not. And this just shows me that it is. And that's amazing. Now, I don't believe it's going to be as big. I don't think the liquidity cycle is going to be as big, but I do believe there will be other factors that will allow the altcoin market to flourish just the same anyway, such as something like a Solana ETF or a Sui ETF or whatever it may be in the distant future. Now, on top of that, okay, now kind of having that in mind and getting a good bit of context of what's going on right now, let's talk about why this is happening. Well, there's three major reasons why I do believe we're seeing this altcoin market pump. One, what I just told you about, the liquidity cycle. The second one is clearly what's happening with the presidency and clearly what's happening with the House of Representatives, the Congress, etc. It does seem as if the Republican Party is going to win the House of Representatives as well. They've already won the majority in the Senate. And so because of that, to me, it's like, geez, I mean, if there was ever a perfect combination, perfect formula for legislation and regulation and deregulation that is going to be beneficial for the crypto world, this is the moment, this is the time, which aligns perfectly with the fact having here all of the good catalysts we were expecting. The third reason, another major reason, is interest rates. Okay, so obviously interest rates have played a major factor. You got to remember, interest rates got dropped just a couple days ago, right before this happened. These things are not coincidences. And so when you combine all of those things together, the liquidity cycle from institutions in Wales, the presidency, and of course the Congress here in the United States, and interest rates dropping. And I guess we can also just add that we're far removed from any terrible news or terrible war news or big developments there, at least because it's all terrible, but there's nothing new. There's no more big developments, whatever. It gives people a little bit more confidence. And so as a result of all of these things, what are we getting? Well, we're actually getting, for the first time in a long time, retail coming back. If you just type in crypto on Google Terms, for example, Google Trends, you can see that it is finally starting to move. It's not nowhere near what it was in 2021. It's nowhere near what it was in 2021, and it was very similar to what it was back in March when we did put in this macro top here, but it is finally starting to trend upwards. And it just goes to show that as things do ease up a little bit in the economy, as people get more optimistic, as we enter more of a risk-on environment, and we see regulation and deregulation within the world of crypto, then more and more people are going to come back, allowing, of course, this altcoin market specifically to really, really flourish. Now, speaking of the altcoin market, what we're going to do in today's video is I want to focus in on total 2. Okay, so total 2 is the market cap of all altcoins, and I like watching this because it gives me a good understanding of what's happening in the grand scheme of things. Because now, knowing why this altcoin market is pumping, the question that we need to answer and ask is, well, how far can this go? Is this just the beginning? And you know, I think so. And that's what's so exciting. I think so. I think this is just the beginning. And so let's talk a little bit about what is actually going on and why I think this might just be the beginning of this move for altcoins. So what we know, obviously, is that total 2 has been constrained for a while, right? Obviously, after March and after we saw that little altcoin rally in March, we really saw this thing get hammered to the downside. The total market cap of altcoins in general fell a grand total of 43%, which is absolutely ridiculous, and that wasn't very fun. Now, after that mass capitulation, we clearly saw a moment of constrainment in which the altcoin market got very boring between the months of August and October, going sideways, not a lot happening, no major memes, no major news, no major anything, just really being boring. But what's beautiful about it is that as it started to play out, we can clearly see that we started to develop some resistance to the top side, a clear identifiable and breakable range to the upside, while we were slowly trending these lows higher and higher, giving us the coil up effect. So it's like big, then smaller, bam, to the upside, this coil up effect, which has allowed this now breakout. And what's cool about it is that now that we are seeing this breakout playing out, what I would actually go ahead and say is that this is really just the altcoin market having its first welcome back party. I don't think that this is even remotely close to the end of the grand scheme of things of where the altcoin market is going, and I think this is just the beginning. Now, does that mean that in the short term, altcoins might not pull back and slowly cool down? No, absolutely not. They very well might cool down for a couple days or a couple weeks. That's totally fine. But in the grand scheme of things, I think the altcoin market has much higher to go, and let me explain why. So what I like to pay attention to very closely is the 618 to 786 Fibonacci zone in any instance, right? Whether it's Bitcoin, Solana, or the smallest meme coin you can find. The 618 to 786 Fibonacci zone is the most important point of resistance that there is. Now, the reason that I say that and the reason why it is so important is because while you are below this thing, it is going to beat you up. And you can see it, right? Although we weren't touching it right here, the pressure from this zone is what was forcing this altcoin market down into this little consolidationary channel that it was in. It wasn't even allowing it to get close to it. And so oftentimes what I've come to realize is that when you're finally capable of breaking it and finally getting above it, it's almost like a door just busts wide open and the freaking floodgates open and bam, we're off to the races. Because what I've noticed is that the moment that you can truly substantiate a breakout of this resistance zone, you can usually start to not only just surpass that previous high, but start going up further than that. This seems to be like the rocket launch pad, right? This is like the launch pad that once you can clear it, oftentimes over time, you're going to get a beautiful move towards the upside that usually can go up towards your extension zones. In this example, that's the altcoin market hitting $1.47 trillion, $1.787 trillion, substantially higher than it is right now. And so considering the fact that we're seeing this altcoin market still within this key level of resistance and it hasn't even broke out of it yet, imagine what this altcoin market could look like when it does break out of this. That's why I believe that this is still early. And sure, as I mentioned before, we might see it get rejected a little bit. We might see this altcoin market pull back a little bit. You go look at something like this. Let's go to CoinGlass right now. You go look at your RSI, 4 hours, overextended, way too high. 12 hours, way too high. 24 hours, way too high. Hell, even your weekly is starting to see some of these cryptos way too high. And so don't get me wrong, this market could pull back and cool down at any given point. But the grand scheme of things here is that this is just the beginning. This is the, hey, I'm back party. We're about to really start and get into the craziness once we can see this broken out of. See it, of course, sustain that breakout and then open up towards the upside to start putting in some of those more macro highs towards the upside and reclaiming and trying to reclaim some of these previous points of resistance back here. So in the grand scheme of things, when you just look at it like this, no, this isn't even close to being the end of it. This is just the very beginning, and I think this is just the altcoin market starting to finally wake up as retail comes back. And so overall, this crypto market's absolutely nuts. Shout out to Kaspa, shout out to Sui, shout out to Shiba, absolutely leading us into the freaking altcoin market, and I've been having a blast. It feels good, it's fun. I love this part of the market, and although I won't get too high in the highs, I definitely will enjoy them and soak them in. And so let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. How are you feeling right now? Do you agree with my thesis on why we are seeing the altcoin market pumping, and what do you think comes next? I can't wait to chat with you all down there, and I'll catch up with you all next time. Peace out, everybody. Oh, one other thing, I don't know if you're still here. Don't forget, I do have a main YouTube channel where I do technical analysis on altcoins basically every single day. So feel free to go check that out down there, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.